What's the job most people would assume sucks, but really isn't all that bad? Stockroom person. I often miss the days where it was just me and the boxes. I did this job at Bath and Body Works. They use color-coded boxes, so it was essentially playing life-size Tetris. I loved it. I got hired there as a sales associate, and then they stuck me in the back room to reorganize it my whole first week. No clue where anything went when the account was broken, and I'm 100 pounds soaking wet with no upper arm strength. Pizza delivery. Your car smells delicious and your whole shift is spent meeting people who are very happy to see you. Just make sure you've eaten before you start. Night security. Sit at a desk watching YouTube. Cast your eyes around the monitors every few minutes. Walk your route every half hour/hour. This sounds like some sort of hell where the second ticks by every minute. It depends on the person. I did it for 6 months until an intervention from my college professor and friends. I was so mentally numb from working the job that it was causing me problems. Others thought it was the best job in the world. I worked as a night watchman for over 20 years. I got lucky and managed to get a job for the employer itself, and not some shitty security agency. I did that shitty security agency work for about 2 years before. I was completely unsupervised/alone most of the night. There were no cameras, no detox key systems, devices in place to make sure you did your rounds, and the place rarely had any problems. I screwed around on the job so much it wasn't even funny. You name it, I did it. Good times. I work in a call center for a major airline. You know that lady you yell at when your flight gets cancelled? Yeah, that's me. But the benefits are pretty good. I'm part of a union, so I get a raise every year, up to 2.5 times holiday pay. My health benefits are really cheap, and I plus MY hubs plus MY parents plus my kids fly free from day one. It's pretty welcoming and supportive. With the union, it's almost impossible to get fired after probation is over. I'm in a right to work state, so this is a biggie. More times than not I get to be the hero. You may call me pissed off. I'm going to do everything in my power to make your travel smooth after my call. Most of my calls end in a better mood than they started. Parks maintenance worker. I change trash cans, clean graffiti, and landscape, but the work is easy. Government benefits, and pay is nice. People really only ever see park techs covered in mud or throwing trash bags, so it looks miserable. 911 dispatcher. If you've got the right personality type and can bounce back from some of the crazy stuff you hear, depending on where you are, it can pay really well with lots of time off. But I've got to reiterate, you're going to hear some shit. If you're allowed to divulge, what's one of the craziest things you've heard? Unfortunately, I'm very much in the camp of, as soon as I'm out the door, it's gone. It's really hard to remember things after a day or two. They all start to blend. But we always tell people with medical calls to call back if anything changes. Before we get there, a guy was having a bad reaction to a pot brownie. He called back 5 minutes later and said, "You told me to call back if anything changes. I don't remember if anything changed." Hard to keep a straight face on that one. Then you deal with a husband whose wife has shot herself in the head. Have him do CPR, just to give him something to do. While he's pumping her chest, he's yelling at kids to go to another room. While this is happening, he's talking to her. "Don't do this. You're my best friend. Come back." I know she isn't going to make it, but I'm keeping him going. Once the medics show up, we hang up and move to the next call, which is a fire alarm or someone who cut their finger and screaming they need to go to the hospital. And why aren't you here yet? I do love the work though. Factory work. Hours and breaks normally set in stone. No stress of deadlines/upcoming meetings etc. No expectation to go the extra mile. No/minimal office politics. Well-defined expectations/quotas. Okay pay and benefits. Often overtime available. For instance, weekends and peak periods. Just arrive, clock in, do your job, go home. A survey in the UK once found factory workers had the highest job satisfaction across sectors. Overhire stager and door technician. The hours suck. You work while other people are enjoying entertainment. but pay is usually $18 starting. Goes up to $65 plus with rigging certification and experience. People think it sucks because they think it's like old cartoons, ropes and pulleys and sandbags and spotlights. Yes, there is heavy lifting, and yes, there are dangerous heights. It's the modern era though. We have a bunch of really cool specialized stage tech both for making shows and making the work easier. People also think it sucks because they think everyone who is backstage wants to be a performer. I have never once met a technician who wanted to be on stage. Okay, some of them play in bands or some shit, but they rarely long for the spotlight. Their ideal scenario is that no one notices they are there. If you like that sort of work and don't want to work at a desk, it's an honest living, and you occasionally get to make stuff that shows up all over Instagram without anyone knowing you did it. I'm a relay service agent. Our job is to relay conversations between hearing and or speech impaired people and their hearing receiver, be it family, doctor, friends, 911, etc. It's quite interesting to do, especially when the deaf client is able to speak. All I have to do is type back the answer from the hearing end. Cleaning a, preferably small, hospital. Super chill, once in a while. See some gross shit, but in a 9-hour shift there was maybe 4 to 5 hours of real work. Nobody supervising because I worked late shifts. Nurses were usually easy to get along with and a lot of them were hot as well. Pay obviously isn't great. I was at $13-16/H, but usually can get plenty of overtime if you want it. And I had a second job doing random research for a consultancy and I could do 2 to 3 hours of that work in my paid downtime at the hospital library. Results may vary if you work in a crazy busy hospital or have a pain in the ass supervisor. Lifeguard. The most popular comment I get is OMG, that must be so boring, and it can get boring, but it's also very rewarding when you actually get to help people. Also almost every day, except when we are super busy, 50% or more of the time I spend at work is paid break. Early childhood teacher. Yes, they can be a handful. Yes, they can drive you crazy, but teaching and caring for preschool kids can be a lot of fun. It makes me feel like a rockstar for a second when I walk into my room in the morning and the kids all call out my name and come running to me for a hug. I might not be the most important person in the world, but those kids make me feel pretty special and very lucky. An engineer is with the railroads. My cousin worked for a railroad and he literally watched YouTube and played video games while the train ran. He had to occasionally check whatever he needed to check, but man did it sound nice. Also, I don't remember exactly what his position title was, but I know it's related to driving the train. Hey guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to watch my other videos and subscribe.